So with regards to exploits, the solo factor is another one of them. They've, especially since 2010, since Brian, and this has been going on in Brian's whole life actually. Okay, technically all the way back to what was referred to as a cheerleader back in high school with Katie Tulazeki, hence KT, or backwards pronounced Tech. Okay. They been doing this bullshit for Brian's whole life. Okay, they only accelerated in 2006 and 2010 therefore. But parties have very extremely maliciously operated in a manner to try to keep Brian out, or to try to keep Brian an outsider, more or less, while attempting to more or less mule Brian, you extract whatever they can get from Brian, use Brian for whatever they can get him. They've literally tried to do that since Brian's child, and that goes all the way back to Brian's youth, all the way back to his first childhood residence, believe it or not, which is a story in of itself. What I was getting at is that these solo parties, is that they pushed, and even in 2010, when Brian was out in Washington, okay, they had Brian, when they spooked Brian, they had him go out to Washington to visit his sister. And while he was there, they went to a Mariners game or whatever sporting event or soccer game or whatever it was down out there. And the point that I'm getting at is that they had 2 tickets for them, for Brian's sister and her boy toy, whatever, and then went and got a scalper ticket for Brian to sit on the opposite direction of the arena, alone. Okay? That's the kind of that's the isolationist solo theme that has been long running Brian's whole life, but then they, like I said, just accelerated it and then just pounded Brian with it for the last 17 years via social media, various other media, etc. Okay, Brian is not a soloist. He, even from a legacy perspective, he comes from a family office where the mother and father created that, but the mother would not acknowledge that the father helped or in any way helped create the business. Okay, extreme narcissist shit, and her behavior was actually, both of them technically, was heavily influenced by proxy parties. Okay, for the purposes of isolating Brian at the end of the day. All of this comes down to Brian. It doesn't come down to his sisters or anybody else. All right. There's a lot of reasons for that. All right. So, Brian is a strength in numbers person, a delegator, a strength in numbers person, and that has to. And that he's not a soloist. He's not a tradesman. He's not a low-value worker. He's a high-value delegator. Okay, and anytime that Brian has to pull himself away when parties are attempting to choke off his cash flows and then attempt to utilize leverage to leverage him into low value situations. Okay, and that's what they've been doing that in a cyclical format for the last 17 years, definitively. Okay, they've been doing that. And especially, and even more so, it's been even more amplified since about 2017. Okay, so they've been going in cycles of extreme choke-offs to try to get Brian to position where they want to position, which is all low-value shit. Okay, it is the most disgusting use of resources. You got to understand, this goes back, like I said, all the way back to Walter Wishaw, and then Richard Wishaw, now Brian. This is the most disgusting, for basically the colors of the flag, more or less, red, white, blue. Okay. The fact that it has lasted that long, and that parties are attempting, or have been attempting to, in some way, shape, or form, destroy that, is unreal, man. That is, like, you probably should wipe off small populations of the planet for something that is that extraordinary, that has gone on that long, for parties that have disrupted that type of, and there's been significant, there has been some certain intervention to it. Let's put it that way. At least lately in the last 6-7 years. Okay. The expectation is always that Brian is at gets into a position of high trajectory valuation. Okay, that'll always be there. That is a permanent directive for Brian. Always has been, even since as early as 2011, when Brian was first informed on private equity and how certain things had to be a certain way. Okay, since 2011. Okay, to actually late 10, early 11. So he's just dealt with a lot of shithead disruptors since that period of time.